what type of student loan is best for students and what is currently a good like interest rate?
Okay, so if you're going to borrow a student loan, you always want to borrow federal. So, federal direct loans are predetermined by the government. And so, the reason why it's part of financial aid is think about it. Let's say you're 17 or 18 years old.
Yeah.
You've never had credit history. You've never had a job. If you walked into a bank and asked to borrow $5,000, what do you think that bank would tell you?
Ooh, nope.
No,
Like
they're
never.
they're they're not. They're going to say no.
Yeah.
But the government, as part of financial aid, will loan this amount to students. And so there is a preset interest rate that's capped. It can't go higher than a certain amount. And it does change every year based on market value. But it is a much lower interest loan. It's not based on credit. There's a lot more flexibility as far as repayment options. You can do things based on your income as far as your monthly payments. Versus if you could potentially go someplace like your local bank or something to ask for a loan. But a lot of times those types of loans, we call them alternative loans or private loans, they
Yeah.
will have maybe a variable interest rate instead of fixed, or it might be a lot higher than a federal loan. So if you have to borrow, you always want to go federal first.
Yeah. So I know what's it called? Um, Someone taught me this because I had to take out loans at one point, and they were like, "Oh, do subsidized first,
Yes.
and then do someone said unsubsidized, unhappy,
Well,
dude, and
that is one way to remember
yeah, yeah,
it.
that's how it
It
stuck
does.
with me. It was like, and then that's
Yes.
where I learned like the difference. So I go
Yes.
with that one, and then unsubsidized go with that as a
Yes.
second option.
And either one of them are backed by the government, so they are
Yeah,
both good options. But it is just about whether or not the interest accrues while you're in
yeah.
school.
So, why would you do a private loan versus a like public loan?
So I would almost never advise for you to do a private or an alternative loan as opposed to a federal loan. Now, I will say federal loans, the maximum amount you can borrow is preset by Congress. So there's only a certain amount you're allowed to borrow as a freshman or a sophomore or a junior or senior or grad student if you're a grad student. So if you're wanting some students that may want to borrow more than that predetermined amount, they might just think, well, I don't want to get a federal loan and something else, so I'm just going to do all private. The reason why I always say to go federal first is because it is going to be a lower interest rate, because you're going to have a lot more flexibility. Your standard repayment is over 10 years, or you can do an income-driven repayment, which goes over longer. And so you really just have a lot more protection and more than likely a lower interest
Yeah.
rate, and then it doesn't take your credit into account. And so a lot of times, especially if you're a first-time student, you don't have any established credit history, you're not going to be able to get a loan on your own. You're going to have to co-sign with a parent, a guardian, a friend. And so federal loans are not like that. It's only in the student's name.